Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Mustafa Abdul Aziz, the Chief Executive Officer of Moderator. Yang berusaha Puan Syari Matun Mat Saleh, Deputy Chief Executive Officer Exporters Acceleration. Yang berusaha Encik Abu Bakar Yusof, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Exporters Development. I'm Izwani Ahmad from Moderator, and I welcome everyone to the Knowledge Hub segment held in conjunction with MIHAS 2022. Before we start our event, there are a few housekeeping rules that I would like to announce. Firstly, to ensure our program today runs smoothly, please switch your mobile devices to silent mode. We'll have some interesting and good-looking moderators and speakers lined up for today, so you may want to fill up the front seats, and as there are still many seats empty, so you can get a better view. And now, we seek your attention to the safety briefing provided by MITech.
The weather is lovely for a picnic.
Don't forget your umbrella, dear.
Voice verification complete. Greetings, agent. You are now located at the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Centre, or MITech. Your mission is to follow evacuation protocol in the slight chance of an emergency. We will be walking you through your mission. Let's head towards the conference rooms. If you are the first to encounter an emergency, break the glass to activate the alarm. Please only begin evacuation procedure after the PA announcement. In the event of an emergency, the shutters between the L1A corridor and the escalator to the north entrance will close. It is important not to panic. Just head towards the back of the conference rooms in an orderly fashion. For safety purposes, all elevators will cease to function during an emergency. Please take the stairs until you reach level 1. Head towards the loading bay entrance. At the entrance, you will find your assembly point. Wait there for further instructions. Congratulations, agent. Our GPS tracker informs us that you have made it to the assembly point unharmed. You followed the instructions and have evacuated MITech in an orderly fashion. This briefing is now complete.
Thank you for paying attention to our safety briefing. Your event can now proceed accordingly.
Thank you, MITech. I now invite my colleague from Moderator, Mr. Shafiq Nasaruddin, for Doa recital.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Ya Allah ya Rahman ya Rahim, jadikanlah kami hamba-hamba-Mu yang sentiasa bersyukur sama ada nikmat yang sedikit, lebih-lebih lagi nikmat yang melimpah ruah kepada kami. Bukakanlah hati-hati kami, lapangkanlah dada kami supaya kami dapat mengisi ilmu dan pengetahuan yang berguna untuk agama, bangsa dan negara. Ya Allah, Ya Ghaniyu, Ya Hamid, kami memohon kepadamu agar Engkau berkatilah majlis ini dengan limpahan rahmat-Mu. Semoga segala usaha kami dalam menjayakan majlis ini mendapat keredaan dan hidayah-Mu. Sesungguhnya pada hari ini kami berkumpul kerana-Mu, Ya Allah. Kami berkumpul untuk menghubungkan silaturahim dan memberi sokongan ke arah meningkatkan lagi prestasi kami. Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram, kurniakanlah jua kepada kami kesihatan anggota, kecergasan minda, ketenangan jiwa, kekuatan semangat. Semoga dengannya kami mampu menepani cabaran, berdaya saing dan mengangkat martabat diri, keluarga, masyarakat dan negara. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shafiq. Again, I would like to welcome you everyone to the Knowledge Hub segment. For your information, Knowledge Hub is packed with 5 panel sessions featuring 16 industry experts and market leaders who will delve into international sourcing requirements, market access insights, as well as latest industry trends and development. This segment is among the 3 main components of MIHAS 2022, apart from the exhibition and international sourcing program. For your information, the session will also be live streamed via MIHAS virtual platform. So if the video is focusing on our audiences, please say hi to those joining us at home or at their offices. Without further ado, I would like to invite up to the stage the moderator and panelists for session 1 of Knowledge Hub 2022, Meet the Experts Qatar. Firstly, I would like to introduce our session 1 moderator, Ms. Agnes Chan from Coface Malaysia. Please. As a country manager, she is responsible to support Coface clients to ensure that they are protected and helping them take the credit decision necessary to strengthen their ability to trade globally. Next, we welcome all the way from UAE, Mr. Shabeer KV, a representative of the premium buyers in MIHAS, Ansar Group of Companies. Shabeer is the regional purchasing manager for Ansar Group based in UAE, responsible to plan, source and recommend suitable goods and services for all Ansar's 20+ retail outlets all over the GCC, including UAE and Qatar. Last but not least, our Malaysian company is from Perak Sdn Bhd, represented by Mr. Haziq Hashim, who is the quality and halal executive of the company. Perak Duck supplies high-quality frozen duck. They have a booth here, and Haziq told me they'll be having smoked duck. So please. Okay, I now pass the floor to Ms. Agnes to start the panel session on export opportunities in Qatar. Agnes, the floor is yours.
Hello. Thank you, Eswani. Good morning, everyone. So, exporting to a new market or to a new buyer could be challenging, as the relationship is new. Full trust has yet to be built, but at the same time, all parties need to be doing their best for their respective companies. So the buyers like Ansar Group, Mr. Shabeer, will need to source the best product at the best price and at the best term. And exporters such as Perak, Mr. Haziq, would need to sell at the best profit and acceptable level of risk. So today, let's hear from both Ansar Group and Perak on their challenges and what they are looking for when they source and export to overseas. So, Mr. Shabeer, can you tell us about Ansar Group and the retail market in Qatar?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here at the MIHAS 18, representing Ansar Group of Companies from Qatar. Thank you, Madrid, for this wonderful opportunity. Really appreciate it. Ansar Group was established in the year 1980 with a single store, a department store in the souk of Qatar. As of now, under the patronage of the chairman, Dr. Ali Akbar Sheikh Ali, and the managing director, Dr. Hussein Sadat, we operate 20+ shopping malls in different GCC countries, employing 4,000+ workforce, and sourcing from different parts of the world, from the Far East to the Europe, sourcing from food to construction materials and heavy machineries. So basically, we sell from salt to steel, everything from salt to steel. Now, the retail market of Qatar, a very small country in the Peninsula Gulf, with just the size of the state of connectivity in USA. So most of the people don't even know that there is such a small state in USA. Qatar is just 11,300 square kilometers in size, abundant reserve of natural gas, a pocket-rich country. All eyes are into Qatar because in the coming 2 months they are going to host the 2022 FIFA World Cup. As mentioned, the GDP of Qatar stands at fourth in the world, and the unemployment is at 0.26% in the world, which is the least in the world. So when it comes to retail, yes, Qatar is a spending market, and when it comes to international trade, Qatar is a buying market.
How do you source for products overseas? And can you also share with us the processes involved when you select the product and the supplier?
When it comes to the sourcing, we follow some strategies. The first one would be the preliminary research and investigation. This is where we check where to source the product from which country at the best quality and the best price. So how we do it, we attend trade fairs, we attend exhibitions, we have market visits. After this, the second one would be the supplier evaluation. So after the preliminary research, we look for whether the supplier is fit for our requirements, how good the facility is, how good their warehousing is, whether they have the production capacity to meet our needs. Most importantly, that the quality control they maintain, and the regional requirements. So, each country have some regional requirements to maintain to import stuff. And after this would be the selection of the supplier. So based on the evaluation, we select the supplier, and it's during this stage we underline a supply agreement. We discuss the payment terms, the lead time for production and delivery, and so on. And lastly would be the performance analysis. So evaluation is done, in each and every step of the procurement with the supplier. We do check on the product samples after production. So since we have sourcing offices in different parts of the world, it helps us to do that. We check on the ease of payment methods with the supplier in due course. And yes, basically that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Shabeer. Hi, Mr. Haziq.
Yes.
Can you share with us about your company, Perak, and tell us a bit more about your product?
Okay, thank you, Agnes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all the visitor and participant in MIHAS 18 for the 18 times. Okay, I'm Haziq from Perak. Actually, we are the oldest company that doing ducks in Malaysia. We start almost about 20 years. We are the biggest in Malaysia, one of the biggest. And we have the integrated, starting from the feed mill, we have our own feed mill, we have our own hatchery, we have our own farm, and lastly, we have our own slaughterhouse. This one, we have under the TCH group. Okay, why we have all like this? So we can control all the disease, we can control all the drugs, maintain it safe to Malaysian and outside country. Okay, thank you.
How is your product positioning in Qatar and countries outside Malaysia?
Okay, now we are trying to explore outside, and we vigorously, before the pandemic also, we're trying to go to the outside market. And now we are exporting to Japan, we are exporting to Brunei, Singapore, Sri Lanka, India, and UAE, and also Oman, and the newest is in Qatar. Yeah. Now we also open, if have anyone, especially Mr. Kabir, if you want to do business with us, also we are welcome. Most of the people here.
Definitely, I'll try the duck first.
Yes, thank you.
So, Mr. Shabeer, what are the key factors that will affect your final purchasing decision, besides pricing, and if sourcing for sustainable product part of Ansar Group mission?
So the key factors that will affect the final purchasing decision after the product and then the pricing would be the supplier responsiveness to changes if required. So there might be chances that as per the market change in trends, we need to alter the product, the look of the product, or the characters of the product. So how good the supplier is in response to it. The market demands the supply of the product much earlier than supposed. So how good the supplier responds to it. The next one would be the flexibility and ethics. How good the customer is when it comes to the payment terms, how flexibility is, how ethically it is communicated and re-communicated back in the process. Thirdly would be the reliability. Now, I would say this is one of the most important factors because it's a long-term relationship we are trying to build. So when it comes to reliability, if there are two suppliers to choose from, I would say reliability is the most important factor to be underlined. And lastly would be shared ethics. So both the supplier and the customer should share the same goals and attitude. Now, this is very important to be open on both sides. So there might be chances that we require constant communication from the supplier, but the supplier lets it to go with the flow of it, which is not shared ethics. So these are the main points that we look for. And now coming to sustainability, it's the fourth industrial revolution happening now. They call it 4.0. All the multinational companies, they're investing in artificial intelligence, and the study shows that in the long run, it is profitable for the organizations. So to my understanding, sustainability without hindering the future is important. Or it is said that by the year 2050, a GDP, just in Asia, a GDP of 2.7 trillion to 4.7 trillion will be at risk. And the reason for it will be climate change. Now, when it comes to Ansar, yes, we do play a part in it. We procure recycled materials. We have recycled plastic bags. All our shopping bags comes from recycled materials. We procure biodegradable household products. Now, to my perspective, it's not just the products, that yields to sustainability. 80% of the world's emissions happens in the supply chain. Now, digitalizing supply chain will be one of the most important thing, which will reduce damage, waste, and loss in the future.
That's very insightful, Mr. Shabeer. How about Mr. Hazif? There's a lot of opportunity in the world out there for export, but there's also a lot of changes and unpredictability. Can you share with us some example of challenges that you have encountered when you have started exporting to some of the new countries?
Okay, for my experience during export, we have faced many challenges. The one challenge that I really remember until this time is the customer sometimes got many kind of complaint. I cannot give the country which is it. This is very confidential. But for the sake of sharing, I give you. And after he gave false claim, complaint, and after that they asked for the compensation and they asked for the discount. Yeah, this is very weird for us. Sometimes we check all the things and we don't have any problems. But it goes by it. At the end of the time, we learn about people, and now we are more can handle this situation, and we learn from time to time, and we get better. So during this exhibition in MIHAS, thanks to Madrid because inviting us to this event, and take your opportunity in this event, can go to find a new product, can go to find new buyer. You can trade, exchange your knowledge, experience, we can ask the other company how you can start trading. What is the regulation in that country? I can see the embassy of Turkey, embassy of many countries. This is our chance to take and grab all the opportunities that we can get, inshallah. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Hearing the requirement from Ansar Group and also the challenges faced by you, I would like to share that in Coface, our mission is to facilitate international trade. We try to ease exporter and buyer to start a new trading relationship as smoothly as possible while focusing on the most important things, which is to get the deal done. So the exporter can offer credit terms to the buyer, and the buyer do not have to worry about arranging for LC or paying in advance, just in case that I don't get my goods, right? So in a nutshell, exporters like Perak will always get paid, either by a reliable buyer or by Coface, who is the trade credit insurer who will guarantee the payment. So I believe that, you know, buyers like Ansar Group and also other buyers in the world will find this type of exporters a lot more attractive, since they don't have to arrange for payment in advance, they can buy on credit, and it can also smoothen their cash flow along the way. Right? Okay. So, Mr. Shabeer, in your perspective, what is the easiest and most preferred payment terms to be offered by a supplier when you source your products?
So when it comes to payments, we classify it into three. TT, which is the telex transfer, LC, which is the letter of credit, and DP, it's the document against payment. Now, TT, as the word mentions, it's telex transfer, you know, transfer of funds through an exchange. Now, the demerit of this is, there is always a risk part for the buyer, because there is no intermediary bank or financial institution in between. So there is always a risk part in it. There are still many European countries who prefer to have TT payments. Secondly would be the LC, the letter of credit. Yes, it is the most widely used of payment methods. Because there is a bank involved in between. So the bank issues a letter of credit and shares the risk with the seller. So they guarantee the seller the payment from the buyer. Now, the disadvantage of this is there is certain charges incurred in this process, which ultimately increases the cost of procurement. Now, lastly, DP, the document against payment. So we as buyers, we prefer to have this payment method where the seller sends the product and sends the documents to the bank, where the buyer has to go to the bank, do the payments, and clear the documents for clearance. Now, for the seller, there is a risk part in it, because in long distance shipments where the seller sends the product, and if the buyer doesn't claim it or doesn't pay for it, either the seller will have to retransport it back, which is a loss on the transportation, or he will be compelled to sell it under a loss in that port, which is a total loss for him. So, to my understanding, this is where Coface, can be a bridge between the buyer and the seller to sell, to check the credit lines of the buyer, how good are they in their payments, how good, and guarantee the seller that, the money would be front, to be paid, during the course, and guaranteed to the seller. Now, moreover, the future holds blockchain data exchange in payments. So, in this way of payments, there won't be any intermediary banks. The charges of intermediary banks will be eliminated. Now, I hope there are no bank peoples over here. I'm not against banks, but it's said that in a year, in total, 11,000 banking institutions exchange 5 billion SWIFT messages in between. So this is a lot of money incurred on the cost of procurement. So the smart contracts and the blockchain methods will eliminate this, and that data will be more viable. There will be trust in between people, and ultimately it will result to time saving and cost, better cost of operations.
I think the blockchain concept is very interesting, and it's very interesting to hear from you that Ansar Group is actually,
The
looking
world is
into
moving
this.
to it. It will take due time. It's not widely, accepted, but there is a time. The future is here. To get into these practices, because passing information is the real wealth in the future. So the least time that takes to pass the information, the more profitable is the business.
Yeah. Well, profit is always the key on business. So, Mr. Haziq, can you share your practice in managing collection of payment after delivery? Have you encountered any difficulty that someone don't pay you? You have some payment issues?
Actually, we are very careful when doing business. This is because we're not simply business with anyone. We will survey their company background, go for meetup if can go, and then we will see their facilities first, and after that we'll decide either we're doing business or not. So far, we don't have face any problem regarding all this. Sometimes the customer will pay upfront or some much total, and then but this is based on the trust for each company lah. Yeah. So now our company don't have any problem regarding this. Yeah.
Well, Ansar Group is one of the prominent and one of the largest retail player in Qatar. So I believe you source product from all over the world. Can you share your experience on the challenges that you encounter, especially recently, there's the pandemic and the buying behavior had changed quite dramatically. So how did you overcome these challenges?
To answer this question, I would start with a funny note. I saw an intellectual posted on Twitter, and the question was, name a place that changed your life. And the answer to it, burst me into laugh. The answer was Wuhan. So no offense to my Chinese friends, we all stood together and fought it, bravely. To my expectation, the big P, the pandemic, didn't even just change the personal life. It changed the way of trade in the world. So the technology in trade advanced, digital practices came into action. Now for us, China being one of the top player in trade, one fine day said, no to travel. You guys are no more welcome here physically. You can sit at home and make orders, but don't come over here. Now, for us, we had like 20 buyers strangled in different parts of the Gulf. Some in quarantine, some in lockdown situations, not able to travel to China. So what we did is, we have representatives in China offices, in Yiwu, in Guangzhou. So we had these representatives, meeting the people, or traveling to the production houses, the production facilities, and Zoom calls were made. So the buyers are sitting in their respective offices in Gulf, and they are through Zoom calls they are making purchase orders. The data was shared through online media rather than paper. So there was less papers, nothing manually signed. It was all electronically done. As per me, what I would say that it was 90% effective, because firstly the cost of movement reduced. So it was real less movements in between, and it became paperless, which ultimately yields to sustainability. The cost of traveling was the main advantage from this. Now, digitalization. So, practice of using new technology to ease trade, that's what we call digitalization. So, to my perspective, what I understand is the most digitalized line when it comes to trade is the shipping, the logistic clearance, or in supply chain. Now, usually there used to be like long waiting lines, where shipping documents was collected physically, payments were done over the counter, and bill of lading was, carried in hand file. I remember before the big peak, before the pandemic, my clearing agent, when I call him in the morning, he says, I'm in the shipping office, clearing documents. And I call him afternoon, he's still in the shipping office clearing documents. So half of his day, he's in shipping offices. So after the big P, logistics clearance was almost digitalized. No shipping lines requires bill of lading physically now. Payments are all done, online. Delivery orders are passed online. So gradually, smart contracts will emerge into the trade. So smart contracts, combine legal terms and payments, synchronizing release of payments and delivery of goods. So there is nothing manual in it signed. All data is open to all the players in the blockchain. Okay, so the future, the era is of paperless trade, electronic single window, electronic certificate of origin, electronic payments. So by this way, it will help us to move from trust and risk to efficiency and cost. That would be the main idea of it.
That's very interesting. It sounds like an upstream version of me buying things from Shopee, but a larger scale and more sophisticated. So how about you, Mr. Haziq? Can you share with us how did COVID-19 change the operation of Perak Dak?
Yes. For the first part, we can see Okay. For the most part, I can see in Malaysia, this digitalization very improved business. Most of the time, I can see most of the business is blooming. But for our company, we have mostly outside company, our overseas company. We are doing pretty much well. Especially for the discussion. I give example, we have our Japan customer. Normally they will come to our factory twice a year. We discuss all the things there. They will go to check all the facilities. But during pandemic, they cannot come to our factory. So what can we do is, we have a conference, video conference, so we can, I think we can solve a lot of problems very fast. Nowadays, we can directly take a video, go inside the production, so all the things really fast. We can solve many things quite fast. And old timer also, for the old people, last time they don't know how to go for the meeting conference. Now all people need to do this. They need to learn. I think most of us already know. Especially we are doing a family meeting also. We use all these technologies. Yeah, I think this very help us to shorten the time and solve the problem very fast. Yeah, that's all.
Despite the negativity of COVID-19, it seems to have boosted a lot of efficiency among corporates in the world. So I have a final question to you, Mr. Shabeer. Can you share your final thoughts for the fellow Malaysian exporters here and how they can better compete and penetrate into the Qatar market?
No, Malaysia is one of the most advanced countries in Asia with a population of 32 million, GDP per capita of $10,600 and increasing by 2023. It said that it would be $12,900 per capita, and an employment rate of just 3.8%. Now, Malaysia is a pioneer in global halal industry, from products to banking and the way of thinking. Now, the country boasts to have the only comprehensive halal ecosystem, which can be capitalized a lot. With its base of some of the world's largest high technology companies like Intel and Infineon, it can enhance digitalization and invest more on it, facilitate digital trade across borders, which ultimately will reduce the cost of trade from 13% to 20% once it is fully utilized. So that is the thing that we have to look onto. How to reduce the cost of trade. When everything is going up, we have to move to a place that the cost of trade goes down. So use of blockchain methods, including spearhead, smart contracts will help us and spearhead in this. Now, coming to Qatar, as mentioned, 90% of the consumed goods in Qatar comes from outside the country. So what else more you have to know? You just have to sell them the best product. That's it.
Well, that sounds like plenty of opportunity in Qatar for Malaysian exporters. So Perak Dak being one of the prominent exporter in Malaysia, can you share with our Malaysian exporters here on how you can export overseas successfully and also penetrate into other markets?
Okay, my advice is, the world is a very vast market. With the proper tool and study, we can learn more about the segmentation. We learn about the target market. What is the culture? I give you an example. So we can this one we can penetrate more on the market itself and business and find more opportunity. I give you an example. Last time we have exhibition in Oman. Okay, as we know, Oman is a beautiful country. The people also are very nice there. They are near with the sea. Their diet mostly, they are eating fish, chicken. But we are the only company there with ducks. And for your information, Oman people doesn't eat ducks. But at the time, quail, burung puyuh, quail, very famous, starting to be blooming there. All people, I think about 4 to 5 booths have quail, and they have a hatchery for quail, but don't have ducks. What we are doing, we are giving them a taste. we have a mixed review from them. Some of them, I still remember until now, they ask, is it halal? Ducks? This is very funny question that I received from them. We also have, in MIHAS, we also have our booth. We are located in Hall 7. Okay, you can come to my booth. Wait, I found my number booth, okay. Booth number 7, level 2, number 2H03. You can come. There we have a lot of products there. You can try our smoked duck. And then we have our roasted duck. We have many halal, because this one, duck, in Malaysia we have got problem because the duck is very hard. Most Malaysians don't know how to cook the ducks. So we come up with this idea, so people can easily, this is already cooked and frozen. So they easily can eat this one. Yeah. And then sometimes after we do all this study about the market, sometimes we will fail. We will fail miserably. Yeah, but don't give up. Sometimes when you lose, you gain something. Use that as your strength to come up again. We also trying best to find many customers, many buyers. Yeah, and then inshallah we will find more, especially in this MIHAS event. Thank you. Yeah.
That's a very inspiring story from Perak Dak. Well, the message is when there is the right product, there is a view, and the right awareness and positioning, you can sell your product anywhere in the world, right? So before I wrap up the session, I would like to share that our company, Coface, is one of the oldest and largest trade credit insurer in the world. So we help exporter to assess and prevent credit risk when you sell on credit, and so that you can avoid not being paid by buyers, especially new buyers that you do not know. So exporters can grow their business overseas in more than 200 countries in the world. Together with Coface as a partner, you can stay competitive and especially during this economic environment, stay safe. So you do not know who you are dealing with for the first time. So Coface is here to help fellow Malaysian exporter to protect your payment. If you would like to hear a little bit more about trade credit insurance, Coface booth is located at Hall 6 2B08. So that's all the time that we have for session 1. Thanks to the panelists, Mr. Shabeer and Mr. Haziq, for sharing your thoughts and the challenges. I hope all of you had obtained good information on Qatar, so that you can start exporting to Qatar, and also the exporting tips from Perak, where there's a will, there's a way. So thank you, everyone. We now open the session for question and answers.
So if you have any question, we'll do it online. Please scan the QR code to post your questions. Thank you.
Okay, we have the question number 1. For F&B product, is there any specific demands on the taste and types preferred in the Qatar market? Wow, I would like to know the answer as well. Mr. Shabeer?
So when it comes to F&B and FMCG, Qatar, as of the latest trend, Qatar is moving into more of health conscious, the food, food supplements, drinks which contains a lot of, protein in it, vitamins, more of natural stuff, like the tender coconut water, it's the Gulf, it's always, there is a challenging part for the Gulf. Because it's unhealthy way of eating. Even from last year, UAE, most of the Gulf countries, they started imposing sugar tax on products for, like sugar-added drinks, for carbonated drinks. There is like from 100%. So energy drinks are at 100% excisable. Carbonated drinks, sugar drinks are at 50% excisable. So the region is moving tremendously to a more of health conscious a market, because Gulf regions are much known for the highest recorded obesity in the world. So that's because of unhealthy eating. Now the changes in the government policies and the changes in the way of people think about it, I say that it's more of healthy eating and healthy drinking moving forward.
Okay.
Yes.
So health is number 1, and clean eating. So we have the second question. Is there a difference culturally in Qatar as compared to other GCC countries?
Definitely, each country has the certain cultural differences. But mostly they share the same culture when it comes to the culture they follow. But when it comes to the business part, there are certain cultures they follow, or in particularly, region-wise, they have certain requirements when it comes to the products. Region-wise, for example, I would say that certain products for Qatar, it requires certain mandatory production and expiry dates, but in other Gulf parts, it doesn't have to meet that expectations. So it changes, as per the dimensions, it changes. Yes, there are cultural differences.
Thank you. So the next question is for Mr. Haziq. How do you create awareness for your product?
Okay, this question, awareness regarding what? They're not specific. but I give the overall awareness about the food. For our factory, we don't have any injection. We are clean, so that's why Singapore and Japan, they take our ducks because we don't have any inject drugs, any antibiotic. We are clean, and also our duck is free-range ducks. They are live happily, not like the other country. They are force feeding or something. We don't do that practice. We have our duck freely 24 hours. They can run, they can swim. They are more healthy, ducks, and we can give good quality ducks for the customer, and we give better in the future. We learn about all the critics. We learn and we try to improve. Because from my experience, last time we only export to Indonesia. After we export to other country, we learn very much. We learn to improve. Until now, we're still improving. And we try to meet expectation of our customer. Yeah, this is our journey, our learning, base learning until now. Still learning and still improving our company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the next question is for me. What is the market rate for country risk offered by Coface? That's a very good question. It depends on where you export to and who you export to, and of course volume, the terms of payment all play a role. It can range from as low as 0.1% of your invoice value all the way to probably 0.2% of your invoice value. So it is a wide range. If you would like to know more, do talk to us. We have a booth at Hall 8. Okay, we have a next question from Debbie. She's from Inang Food Industries. Debbie would like to know, how do you support private labeling of food product, and how much the packaging and outlook play a role? Sorry, I don't seem to get this question about private labeling.
It seems like the question is addressed to me.
Is it to you?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So it's for you.
I'll pick it up. So private labeling, when it comes to hypermarkets or retail chains, is really important because the category of private labeling helps the seller to increase the profitability of business, because the brand is on his own name, and the brand can be pushed into the market with more visibility and the more category space. For example, Ansar, we have a lot of brands under one umbrella. So we have a brand different for clothing, we have a brand different for household, we have a brand different for food, like we name it A&H. When it comes to food, we name it A&H, for example. So the thing is, by private labeling, your brand becomes one of the best, or you try to put it on the best spot of the category. So with all the other brands playing in different categories, brands, when you put your own brand, the first thing is your brand is known in the category, or in between the people, okay, who buy. If you give the best product at the best quality, people would prefer your brand to pick up your brand from the shelf, and by that your brand will be known in the market. So the key advantages of it is the marketing of your own brand, and number two, increasing the profitability. Now coming to the question, does the packing affect the branding value? Yes, definitely. The packing, the quality, and the pricing. These three would be the factor that would affect the branding and put you in the best spot of the category.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shabeer. And we have the next question. Can you tell us a bit about taxation for imported goods? Is there any discount or exemption?
So when it comes to taxation, as I mentioned, the Federal Tax Authority has imposed taxation on added sugar products. Now, carbonated drinks, sugar-added drinks, anything that is added sugar, not, cocoa products or, mere chocolates. But other than that, artificially added sugar, whatever is added, there is a taxation on it. For that, there is no exemption. It is under the federal law. It is not exempted. Now, when it comes to duties, other than re-export, UAE just merely have a 5% of port tax. The port duty tax. There is no other tax from that.
Thank you, Mr. Shabeer. So we have the next question. Wow, that's interesting. Are you a golfer, Mr. Shabeer?
Well, sometimes.
So how's the golf scene in Qatar? How's the popularity of golf?
Well, basically, it's a Gulf Peninsula, so it's a desert. It's just 3 months. You can play golf outside, or you have to play indoor in a mall. So there are like from November to February. Yes, it is viable. It can be done. But other than that, you play golf, you would get sun dried up.
So don't play golf during the summer in Qatar.
Yeah, if there's a question from the floor, we have the mic on the side. So if anyone interested to, pose your question, please. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay, Shafiq.
Testing.
Hello, good morning. So my question is, can I know a little bit background about the fashion scene in Qatar? I mean, how the people doing the fashion over there? What kind of clothing that they normally pick? Since Ansar Group also sell clothing to the Qatar population, right?
So definitely a good question. The changes in fashion or the trends is widely accepted in Qatar. Now, as I mentioned, the GDP per capita of Qatar is at $64,000 per person. Now, with that type of money, people have a big spending culture. It's like we would say that we have big carpet showrooms in Qatar. Now, people over there, the local people, the residents over there, they change the entire the floor carpet of their home for every Eid. They just remove it, replace with the new one. So they don't care, they spend money. So, vacations, the country, when the summer starts, the country is empty. Everybody flies outside, they go to Paris, they go to France, So the spending culture is so high, and because of that, the trends in fashion is accepted widely and changed as per the market. Like they follow the Italian market, they follow the European markets. Now, for us, we do big in department store. We sell a lot of clothing under our own brand and and brand known as well. So yes, there is definitely fast changes when it comes to fashion, and people adapt it. And according to that, we retailers also adapt it seasonally and occasionally. So it's there all the time.
Sounds like the houses need a lot of storage space for clothes.
Well, definitely, you must come and see.
So we have another question. What is the acceptance level towards organic or natural-based skincare or healthcare?
So as I mentioned, before, the whole region, not just Qatar, the whole region is moving into more of health consciousness, healthy eating, safe eating, clean eating. Organic, there is a long way to get into the vegan part, But organics, yes, definitely. The Gulf is moving to an organic segment. People prefer to know what they're using, what they're eating, where it came from, what methods it was used, or what soil it was grown on. So people prefer to know everything. So basically, with everything happening in the world and the contamination and all those things, the Gulf is moving to a much faster phase to organic segments. So natural-based oil, skincare, healthcare. For example, I would say that after a lot of issues that we faced from the infant formulas from China, or the meat coming from the Far East, now people are more careful when it comes to these things. Mothers, they intend to know what their child is eating, how organic it is, how from production to the shelf, through what steps did it go through, just by scanning a barcode on the product. Now multinational retail markets, you can see everything on your phone by just scanning a product on the bottle. So yes, organic products is widely accepted now. Before, like I would say 5 years back, there was no section in most of the big retail chain in Qatar or in UAE which showed organics, other than the niche outlets. But now even the B-class outlets, they have organic segments in each category, which gives us all a brief idea of how Qatar is, or how Gulf is moving into the organic sector.
Okay. The market had really evolved to such level of sophistication.
Definitely.
Everyone wants to know what they are eating. So we have a next question. Before we take any question, do you have any question that you would like to raise your hand?
I believe we saw one from the floor.
I'd like to ask you something actually. Can you define actually how much trade actually online and offline actually been done in Qatar? Another thing is, what is the typical TBT issue actually for Malaysian exporter actually to Qatar? And also any SPS issue?
Sorry, the first question was the percentage of traders online you mentioned?
I mean is online purchase and offline purchase.
Okay. Now, basically this is something we discussed in the morning on, during our breakfast time. Now, Qatar, it's as I said, the culture of Qatar is shopping offline, going to retail markets, because the 70% or 80% of the year is summer over there. So the main culture of people over there is go to malls and touch and buy what they're buying. So this is their main activity, because there is nothing to do outside other than that. So before the big P or the pandemic, yes, I would say that Qatar just had 15%, just a mere 15% of online buyings. But after the big P, there is a tremendous change into it. People are moving into online, rather than offline. So that is a shift, from a cultural on a cultural dimension. So now they prefer almost 73% of purchases happen offline, and the rest is online. So the gap, the gap is becoming big. There is a tremendous change, definitely.
Okay, we have the next question to Mr. Haziq.
Okay, we take one from the floor first.
Okay.
Yes, miss.
Hi, good morning. My question to Mr. Sir from Qatar. Could you tell us briefly on the free zone industry in Qatar?
On the
free zone.
Free zone.
Free zone. Free zone.
Free zone.
Yeah.
Okay, so same like UAE. The first region to introduce free zone ports was UAE. So they had the Al Quwain free zone port. They have the Jebel Ali free zone ports. So catching up with the trend, Qatar also have introduce these free zone ports where you can bring in products which doesn't carry any import tax, or you can re-export from that without paying any tax on it. So yes, basically the port taxation or the port charges is very less when it comes to these countries. But practices are being followed more. So there are a lot of companies who invest and have startup companies in free zone ports nowadays, especially in Qatar.
Okay. We have from the floor. Or we have the next question from Mr. Haziq.
Okay, one more.
Okay. Did you use any financial assistance such as MDG from Matrade when you started to go into international market? How does it help you?
Of course. Okay, Matrade helped us really a lot because this is our field. I think it's our starting point. If we have all the money, and then after the exhibition, we can get back all the money that we have invested. We can go to the next exhibition. We're going fast because on the help of Matrade. Thank you very much for support us. And we want to go further, inshallah, in the future. We hope other company also try to go with Matrade, try to discuss with them how we can go further to go in the new market, because the world is very big. You can find. If you cannot find here, you can find to the other place. Try. You need to try. my sincere tips. You need to try. If not, because I just saw some of them are really feel comfortable in local. They don't know how vast the market, how fast the world is going on. Now is the time. Now is the time. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Haziq.
Okay. Right. So I think that is the last of our questions for today. So again, thank you, Agnes, Shabeer, and Haziq, for your insightful sharing on how to enter Qatar market, as what Haziq said, and what Matrade tagline is, time to export is now, right? Okay, again, thank you for the interaction from the audience here in MITEC and those who join us virtually, right? Thank you again to the panel. You may take your seat. Before we end this first session, I would like to request the audience to complete the feedback form by scanning the QR code featured on the screen. Once you have completed the form, you will receive an e-certificate. Kindly be informed that Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Mustafa Abdul Aziz, our CEO of Matrade, will be arriving soon to officiate the Knowledge Hub segment. I seek everyone's cooperation to remain seated for the next session. Again, on behalf of Matrade, we would like to convey our appreciation to the panelists of Session 1 and thank you to those participants joining us today, and hopefully you will stay on for the rest of the day, right? If you have any question for the panelists, you may approach them after the opening ceremony. Thank you from myself. I'll end this session 1. And now I invite my colleague Tuan Syed Fairuz for the following session. Thank you.